Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi, Jack Roeser, and I are speaking with Andy Shaw today from the Better Government Association. And Andy, before the break, we were kind of trying to touch on this Watchdog Center and the Advocacy Center, and how is that going to serve the civic engagement, especially with this new grassroots, this Tea Party, this 9/12 movement?
Well, you know, not only are people angry about government, they're also frustrated, and they're intimidated by not being able to make a difference or feeling like they have no access to government. So what we started doing a couple years ago with a grant from a foundation in Chicago was to bring training programs out to communities. We went to the north side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago, then the south side of Chicago. Then we went out to Joliet to get out in the collar counties, and we went down to Springfield. And what we're going to do over the next couple of years, funding permitting, is take watchdog training to every community that wants it. And we will put as many people in a room as we can get, and we will tell them how to keep an eye on government and how to report back to us when they see things that don't pass the smell test. We have generated several wonderful investigations from tips that were delivered to us by watchdogs who went through the training programs. The website has a wonderful video produced by my colleague Mary Frances O'Connor, who is here with us today, about how the watchdog training program goes. I would commend anyone who's listening today to go to bettergov.org and watch the video so you see how watchdog training works. See the website, read about it, and if you want a watchdog training program out in your neck of the woods, let us know. We can't get everywhere. We don't have the resources to be everywhere that quickly, but we will get out to training. In the same way as the website will be the Advocacy Center. When the new phase of our website will be online in 1 month. It will have a tool called e-advocacy. This is what I was talking about before, which means if you come to the website and we tell you a story about bad behavior in government, and we also tell you what ought to be changed, with a push of a button, we can send messages. I guarantee you, if a mayor or a county board president or a trustee gets 500 messages in the morning and in the evening, and in the morning and the evening, and the morning and the evening until they do something, they're a lot more likely to change than if there's just one editorial in the newspaper or one press conference or one radio show that you and Jack do. Those things are all important, but civic engagement means 24/7 pressure on public officials to start behaving. So you talked earlier about this is what a lot of Tea Party people believe in doing. This is activism. The only difference is political parties conduct their activism in the service of a set of political and ideological principles. We conduct our activism and our advocacy in the service of one principle, that better government is our right. How you get to better government is debatable, but at the end of the day, it has to be government in which our tax dollars are respected, spent wisely and efficiently. Jack and I may not always agree about what efficient and effective means, but we'll always agree that we have a right to see our tax dollars spent wisely, not wasted.
Let me put an oar in the water on what you brought up as a very, very important point, and that's about the people, the voters, should have some way of being effective with their vote. Let's take our education system again. The fact is that one of the hardest things to get elected to is a school board, because you've got a really tightly organized, the biggest powerful 800-pound gorilla of a union, the IEA, here in Illinois, that has an immense amount of money. Just think, they take from the voters, each teacher pays to the teachers union variously from $500 to a little over $1,000 a year to the union. 80% of that has been found is spent on just politics. It's very cheap to represent somebody at a rigid outfit like the union. They dominate the school boards, and they have just taken a local district here. You got 10,000 kids, you got 800 teachers. There's about $500 that comes out of every teacher's pocket to be used just for political action in just the union in this small area. So do some arithmetic on that, and you're talking $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year going to the union in political stuff. Try and get elected to a school board if you don't echo the opinions of the professionals that run it. What has been put out in a statement by the head of the Union of Government Employees is a very frank admission. What they said was, with the money they are getting out of the members of the union and put into politics, the union is able to elect their bosses. So what you have got, actually, especially in the school system and in many other parts of government, you've got people that belong to a union that is taking the dues and running it around into the political system to elect their bosses. So what you've got is a total perversion of the voting system to where the ones that matter in the voting are the ones that the union is voting out of their own money. They have completely short-circuited the taxpayer voter because they have this tremendous amount of money, because the unions that are embedded in the government, that includes the teachers and the SEIU and all of the rest of them, have got too much power to regulate not only their working conditions, but what they do for the taxpayers are supposed to be serving. And the unions have completely perverted the system, and that's what you've got today, and they are so powerful, it's hard to pull them out of where they're at.
I'm not going to argue with you about that one, but I will add one thing about the problem with school boards. If you look at the elections to school boards in the suburbs, 10% of the voters come out, so people get what you pay for. If you don't come out and vote, if only 10% of the citizens are voting.
You know what?
Can't beat the union.
After the break, we were going to talk about people getting out and being active in civic engagement right after the break. Thank you.